Happy Sunday, everybody. I'm sitting here with Lulu Chronicles. She is baking today.
And I'm putting it on my channel.
Yes. What's your channel?
Lulu Chronicles. If you want to watch this video, just go down to my channel and it'll be there.
Alright, so she's making an apple crisp. So I was just checking her ingredients before we get started. Today we are doing another whiskey, which is going to go really good with this apple crisp dessert that she's making. These are our two babies that we're doing. This is the Ardbeg. This is the one I did on Christmas Eve with my family. It had very mixed reviews. And then this is the new one that I'm going to introduce. This is called Basil Hayden's. So first I want to introduce you to Basil Hayden's, okay? And I want to give you a couple of different tidbits on it. Basil Hayden's is a Kentucky whiskey. And the other one is a Scotch whiskey. And it is actually only 80 proof, so it's 40% alcohol, which is less than what a normal than a lot of our top shelf drinks that we've been reviewing has. But it was a phenomenal steal this weekend at Benny's for $32.99. And so I thought that I'd try it because you know, sometimes we don't want to spend $50 on a drink, and not everything you have to spend $50 on a drink. So there goes that nice little tidbit story. It says, when Basil Hayden Sr. began distilling his smooth bourbon here in 1796, Kentucky was but 4 years old and George Washington was president. Today we make Basil Hayden's Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey using the same skill and care that made it favorite among America's frontier settlers. So this is a very old whiskey. I really love the bottle. It's really pretty and elegant. It has this paper, like it looks like kind of like a shield of armor. It has a Basil Hayden on like a copper piece, and it's really pretty. I thought with the B and the H, I thought that was really elegant the way that they bottled it. So that's a beautiful thing. I enjoyed that part. The fact that it is only 80 proof kind of scared me, because most other whiskeys, like this Scotch whiskey, has 46% alcohol. This one only has 40. I did spend a little more money on this one, though. This one was $45.99. This one was on sale for $32.99, and I think the regular price was $35.99. So that's a little different. This one is a light-bodied whiskey, and it's considered rye heavy, okay? You can find a lot of whiskeys that are rye additions of whiskey, and but this is not considered a rye whiskey. They do have a rye addition, but this is not it. And so we would expect it to taste a little different, like the Jack Daniel's single barrel that we tasted for New Year's Eve. So go back and find all of our videos. Intoxicating Tastings. We're on YouTube. We upload all of those videos, and on our Facebook page, Intoxicating Tastings. Like our page, and you'll stay up to date on all of our reviews that we do. So this is that. This is actually made by Jim Beam. Jim Beam, another note that I didn't know, also makes Knob Creek, which is another one of our reviews, and one of the other whiskeys that I really like. So they're all in the same family. They're all going to have different flavors, because they're all going to have their own recipes in the way that they put these all together, okay? So the one thing that Basil Hayden says is that they are trying to stay true to the original recipe that Mr. Hayden started with in 1796. So I think that that's nice. And what the bottle says is that it has more rye than a traditional bourbon, and its trademark spicy finish. It's easy to enjoy Basil Hayden's any way that you like. Now, when I do tastings, I like to do them straight, okay? Because when you add ice, it changes the flavor complex. And when you're doing a tasting, you just really don't want that. You want to enjoy everything that the whiskey maker or alcohol maker tells you that you're supposed to offer. So I'm going to do two different ones, and I'm going to do a comparison, and I'm just going to show you all without all the mumble jumble that, you know, they tell you. I'm going to show you all the differences. So one other thing I would like to point out This is a 10-year aged whiskey, the Ardbeg. Okay, 10-year aged. And this one, they don't put it on the bottle, but the more research I do says that they try to age it about 8 years. However, it could give or take. So, but 8 years is the average. So there's a different average age on the whiskeys. Now, cool. So I want you guys to be able to see the glasses because there's a very distinct difference here. All right. My Basil Hayden's is much darker than my Ardbeg Scotch whiskey. Okay, even though this is aged longer, this one is darker. Now this one has a bourbon-esque feel, the Basil Hayden. So it's gonna have that caramel note, and this Scotch whiskey is gonna be a lot lighter. This is just what they how Scotch whiskeys are normally. Okay, they don't have that caramel note. They're a lot lighter of color. Okay. This one, the Basil Hayden's, smells very sweet. And the Ardbeg smells very smoky. Okay, so two totally different aromatics. Okay, that's what they call it. How it smells is called the aromatics, the aroma. Two totally different aromas there. All right. This one is actually considered light body. Okay, it is not as heavy as our normal bourbons. Our normal bourbons tend to be a little thicker, and they tend to be a lot heavy. When they say thicker, that means heavier. So this one kind of swirls around, and this one is pretty light body too. Okay, most Scotch whiskeys, they are light body also. All right. To me, the lighter the body, the easier it is for me to get up the next day, but that's not the case for everybody. To me, a lot of bourbons are very thick, and then brandies and cognacs, they tend to be very thick, and so they tend to make me a little more sluggish the next day, as opposed to a light body whiskey. I don't tend to have those same issues. So, tasting for the Basil Hayden, okay? All right. So it's very light. It has that hint of sweet. It has that spicy undertone, and then the finish is very quick. Like it doesn't linger on the tongue as long as other bourbons or whiskeys do. But it is and it's very light, which I do appreciate that. Sorry, this is the one we're doing right now. Yeah, I do. I really appreciate that. And so in comparison to other bourbons, it's much lighter. And it's not, I'll be honest, not as complex. However, I could drink it straight. It's pretty decent for the price of $32.99. And I would recommend trying it if you're a brand new whiskey drinker and you're switching over. This is a good way to go. Because it's not as heavy and thick as the other ones. Now, the Ardbeg, on the other hand, and I've already tasted this, it's going to have a very different flavor. It's distilled very different. And just as a recap, it says typically most whiskeys are chill filtered and reduced to the strength of 40% alcohol. Ardbeg is 10 years old. However, it's a non-chill filter and has a strength of 46% alcohol, thus retaining maximum flavor at the same time, giving more body and added depth. Okay, so we're going to try that. Whew. It's very different. So that has a totally different taste. It has this smoky flavor as soon as it hits your tongue. And you smell it. Like, it is very strong. The aromatics are very strong, okay? And it lingers a lot longer. This one doesn't linger as bad, but this lighter one does, okay? For me today, the way that I doctor up my whiskey, if I doctor it up at all, is I like a little ginger ale. So, I found at Target, because now I'm looking at all these things and trying to figure out how to do right by my body. This premium ginger ale. It is, I'm going to show you. It comes in a 4-pack. Of course, it was a little more pricey. It probably was about the same amount as a 12-pack can of pop. But it is made with natural ginger, no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or preservatives. This is not a ginger beer. It is a ginger ale, but it's very good. And when I put it in my drinks, it really adds to them. These are actually bottle openers also. A lot of people don't even know that. So, thought that was a nice little tidbit to share with you all. Get it under the top and pop it open. Okay, so yeah, that's cool to know. And so the way that I doctor this up, first I'm going to just add ginger ale. Just a little bit of ginger ale to both of them. Alright? And normally that's enough for me. Yes, so with the Basil Hayden, the ginger ale, it stands on its own with the Basil Hayden, and it's very good, light, refreshing. As far as the Ardbeg, actually, that's really good with that too. But for people who don't like that smoky finish, I would take it one step further. This is a homemade sweet and sour mix that I made, once again, on Intoxicating Tasting's website. Just go back or go in Facebook or YouTube and you'll find it. Or Google us, Intoxicating Tastings. You'll find all of our videos. And once again, I'd use natural lemon, natural lime. Sugar is the only thing that's in here, but I would assume you can use cane sugar also and dilute it. A simple syrup is equal parts sugar, equal part water, and natural sweet and sour, unlike that highly preserved stuff that you buy on the shelf. It's just much better. So I add a little sweet and sour, and it really masks the taste of that smokiness if you don't like it. So this is the Ardbeg with the sweet and sour and ginger ale, and this is just the Basil Hayden with just the ginger ale. And you can add the sweet and sour, or you could just do the Basil Hayden or the Ardbeg with just sweet and sour, and then those are called whiskey sours. Both very good choices. So this is our comparison today. Basil Hayden's